Seeing that it is now 10 a.m., good morning, and I call this meeting of the House Executive Departments and Administration Committee to order. And I would ask Vice Chairman Slotchi to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Today is November 5th, 2025, and we'll be holding an executive session on 5 bills today. House Bill 244, House Bill 610, House Bill 727, Senate Bill 94, and Senate Bill 193. I am Erica Leon, chairman of this committee, and today we have Representative Connie Lane filling in for Representative Howard Heath. Please welcome Representative Lane. Thank you. And with this, I hereby open the executive session on House Bill 244, updating and recodifying the municipal enforcement of the Building and Fire Code. I will move adoption of Amendment 2025-2952H. Is there a second? Second. Thank you. And I will speak to this motion. This was the bill to recodify and take some of the statutes around the building code out of 2 sections where they were mixed in with a lot of other things and bring them all into 155A. It's a big, complex task, and I greatly thank everybody who was a part of the subcommittee working on this and the building code and Mr. Sherman for this. I've gone through, it's a big bill, but I think we're ready to move forward on this. Would you like to speak to your second, Representative Grotta?
No, thank you. I think you did a great job.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on this amendment? Here you go. The numbers. Seeing no further discussion, once the clerk is ready, I'll let him call the roll, but I also don't want to rush him. So let us know when you're ready.
Okay, on 244.
Yes, could you put your microphone on, please?
Thank you. Rookie mistake. The motion is to adopt an amendment 2952H. Okay, having said, Representative Slotchi.
Aye.
Clerk votes aye. Yes. Representative Pearson.
Yes.
Representative Bailey.
Aye.
Representative Sellers.
Yes.
Representative Tebow.
Yes.
Representative DeRoy.
Yes.
Representative Kelly.
Yes.
Representative Grotta.
Yes.
Representative Schmidt.
Yes.
Representative Davis.
Yes.
Representative Dargy.
Yes.
Representative Lane.
Yes.
Representative DeVries.
Yes.
Representative Long.
Yes.
And the chair.
Yes.
Looks like 16-0 on the adoption of the amendment.
With a vote of 16 in favor and 0 approved, the motion passes. I will move ought to pass on House Bill 244 with Amendment 2025-2952H. Is there a second? Thank you. Because this is a replace all amendment, I don't think that there's need for further discussion unless anybody else has anything to discuss. If not, when the clerk is ready, I'll let him call the roll. And good job, everybody, for making it so that we're moving quickly. Thank you.
Okay, on ought to pass as amended, with amendment, Representative Slotchi.
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Representative Pearson.
Yes.
Representative Bailey.
Aye.
Representative Sellers.
Yes.
Representative Tebow.
Yes.
Representative DeRoy.
Yes.
Representative Kelly.
Yes.
Representative Grotta.
Yes.
Representative Schmidt.
Yes.
Representative Davis.
Yes.
Representative Dargy.
Yes.
Representative Lane.
Yes.
Representative DeVries.
Yes.
Representative Long.
Yes.
And the chair.
Yes.
16-0 ought to pass with amendment.
With a vote of 16 in favor and 0 opposed, the motion passes. Are there any objections to putting this on the consent calendar? Seeing none, we'll place this on consent. I'll have the committee report written today. The executive session on House Bill 244 is hereby closed, and I hereby open the executive session on House Bill 610 relative to repealing the Office of the Consumer Advocate. I move amendment 2025-3076H on House Bill 610. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. So I will speak to my motion. House Bill 610 had some concerns that there's a potential to have more focus on environmental policy as opposed to making sure that people in the state of New Hampshire are able to pay their electric bills. Last month, I had presented an amendment that took a pretty hard line, looking at the consumer advocate and that job. That was going too far. And I now, after having several conversations, have an amendment that takes a much more appropriate approach to this. What this amendment does is it states on page 1, lines 19 to 21, that the consumer advocate shall focus exclusively on assuring that residential utility customers receive safe and reliable service at the lowest possible cost while maximizing consumer freedom and autonomy. It also ensures that this should be front of mind in multi-state conversations, as you find on line 26. It adds overseeing that duty to the charges of the Residential Ratepayer Advisory Board on page 2, lines 2 through 4. Yes. And the advisory board already recommends whether to retain the consumer advocate when the term is expired. This amendment adds the ability of 2/3 of the board to recommend to the governor and council to remove the consumer advocate if they are not fulfilling to the duties of the role. And lastly, it broadens the possible pool of consumer advocates while recommending certain people be part of the office. That is in sections 1 and 2. So basically, this is taking a much smaller look at it, making sure that we're focused on making sure that Granite Staters can afford to pay their energy bills and making sure that that's part of the charge. This is not about who currently holds the position. It is about making sure that these goals are aligned going forward and for the future of this organization, because energy is important. So Representative Greta, would you like to speak to your second?
The only concern, yes, thank you. I think that in relationship to the First Amendment that we submitted, this is much better. My concern is that we're limiting the position to an engineer or an economist, but that's a discussion we can have another day. So I would recommend that we support this amendment and deal with that at a later time.
Thank you. I would note that it also keeps the current requirement of a qualified attorney admitted to practice in the state as an option. It simply expands it to also include a professional engineer or economist if the pool needs to be broadened. Mr. Crease, would you like to speak to this amendment?
Thank you, Chairperson Leon. Just for the record, I'm Donald Crease. I am the current occupant of the position of consumer advocate. In February, I will celebrate my 10th anniversary. Today marks the beginning of the final 2 years of my term, so it's an auspicious day for me. I am used to appearing in front of the Science, Tech, and Energy Committee, so I have a decade's worth of working relationships in place there. So this committee is a new and interesting place for me to be, and I have to say I'm quite pleased with the way that this worked out. I really was very intrigued when Representative Leon, after she became the chair, developed a different approach to the whole bill that moved away from abolishing the whole office to strengthening the oversight of the office. But as you'll recall from my testimony at the work session of about a month ago, I still had some pretty significant issues. And I'm happy to say that I was able to work with key members of the committee in getting the bill to, I think, a better place. Now, to keep it 100, I have to confess that I went into this and thinking and still think that our enabling statute as it currently exists is just fine. But I try to be really respectful of the general court, and I understand that there are people in the general court who really think that it would be good to sharpen the oversight of the consumer advocate and limit his or her independence. And so I really want to thank in particular Representative Sytek, Representative Grota, and Chair Leon for their willingness to listen to some suggestions about how to accomplish what I think you are trying to accomplish in a way that still makes it possible for the consumer advocate to be a vigilant, outspoken, and reasonably independent voice on behalf of residential ratepayers. As I said to the chair just before you all convened, since I took office, I've treated my advisory board the way a nonprofit executive director would treat his or her board of directors. And I think that is an appropriate expectation for the general court to have of the consumer advocate. For one thing, it gives the advisory board something to do more than once every 4 years when it gets to play a role in deciding who has my job. So this does that. It puts the focus on the advisory board in terms of making any necessary determinations that maybe the consumer advocate isn't adhering faithfully to her charge. So I just want to thank the committee for its willingness to collaborate and think with me about how to get this to the place where the original intent of the bill was trying to drive this without wreaking havoc. So I think that's all I need to say, unless anybody has any questions or comments that they want me to respond to.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Are there any questions for Mr. Crease? Representative Sytek and then Representative Schmidt.
A couple things. First, the amendment is very good in that it gets us out of the micromanaging. That's balanced by the power to remove, so that if we don't need to micromanage, there is the power to remove. The other thing is that I have spoken with Mr. Crease, and he points out that at PUC hearings, you're going to see a lot of lawyers on the other side, and he's really would really like to see, if we've expanded it to professional engineer or economist, that that person really be qualified to do battle with an army of experts and attorneys. And I want to take this time to try to make this very brief. This is important. I'm interested in the system, not the incumbent who comes with rave reviews. He made a presentation in Salem before a group of climate activists. I was the only Republican there. You should have heard. I wish we had recorded it, because it was the most even-handed presentation I could imagine. There was absolutely no playing to the crowd. It was Sergeant Joe Friday, just the facts man. And I listened with 2 ears for information, and with the other ear, I listened to see if I could detect a slant. The man did not play to the crowd. He played to the facts. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Representative Schmidt?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just wondering, I know that Mr. Crease is an attorney himself, and I'm wondering whether you feel that the amendment is sufficiently benign and neutral in its approach, and would not need a public hearing, which we had a public hearing on the original bill. That was well attended, as some of us who were there will recall, and certainly Mr. Crease does. But now we have a new amendment, which is, as they say, is much more, benign, by your own words, I believe. And so, do you feel that a public hearing it would not be necessary with regard to this amendment?
That is my view. Of course, I'm a fan of public hearings. I love transparency and accountability and that sort of thing. But I think a good way to think about this might be, at the original public hearing, there were a raft of concerns expressed. And I think that the bill, the story of the bill has been one of the focus narrowing to address all those concerns. And so I don't think anybody who testified at that hearing back in the spring would have a problem with what you're talking about doing here. I do want to say a word about what Representative Sitek was talking about. So he came to an event that was sponsored by the Climate Advocacy Group 350 New Hampshire. And I was there because my practice is to accept every speaking engagement that I'm offered unless I have a conflict. So the climate activists like me for some reason, so they invite me to their events. But if you have your local, citizens to promote the further development of fossil fuels and nuclear power, I'd be happy to come speak to that group too. I've definitely spoken to Republican town Republican organizations. I just like to spread the word about what we do. And I didn't know that Representative Sitek was going to come to that particular event, but they really wanted me to make a climate-oriented pitch, and I was just there to talk about what I'm supposed to do, which is try to save money for ratepayers. That's why I like this new version of the bill, because it tells me to do what I'm already doing, which is worry about the ratepayers. Now, we could have a whole separate conversation about the role of so-called green energy, and that's an interesting topic, and I have opinions about it, but they don't fall within the four corners of my job as the ratepayer advocate. So I leave the environmental advocacy to people who are in that business. They do a good job of making the case for green energy without any help from me.
Follow up?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do want to follow up. So, as you recall, the initial bill was to abolish and repeal the office, and this this amendment is very different in its intent and in its form. So, to the degree that we are diverging quite substantially from the original bill, but if you're in your view, since it's pretty much the office is retained in its capacity, if you feel that a public hearing is not necessary, I'm okay with that. So thank you.
And thank you. Actually, in what you were saying, you brought up another point. By setting these criteria, it probably will make it easier easier when people ask you or a future consumer advocate to play a certain role, to say, look, this is exactly what my role is, and I will not leave that role. And I appreciate you for already doing that. So thank you.
Yes, I appreciate the support of the legislature, and yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming up and speaking with us. Is there any further discussion on this amendment? Representative Sellers?
Thank you, Madam Chair. More a question to the committee. I don't know if anybody had a chance to talk to the sponsors of this original bill, because now that it has changed from repeal to other, to get their input or thoughts on it.
Thank you. I actually did speak to the sponsor of the bill, and this is acceptable to him. Thank you. One question I'll ask of you guys is, if anybody wants to speak, if you can push the button so I can see the microphone, just because sometimes I don't catch people in my blind spots. I think that'll be a good policy going forward. And with that, I think we're ready for the clerk to call the roll.
On the adoption of the amendment 3076, Representative Slotchie.
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Representative Pearson.
Yes.
Representative Bailey.
Aye.
Representative Sellers.
Yes.
Representative Tebow.
Yes.
Representative DeRoy.
Yes.
Representative Kelly.
Yes.
Representative Grote.
Yes.
Representative Schmidt.
Yes.
Representative Davis.
Yes.
Representative Dargy.
Yes.
Representative Lane.
Yes.
Representative TeParise.
Yes.
Representative Long.
Yes.
And the chair.
Yes.
16-0 on adoption of the amendment.
With a vote of 16 in favor and 0 opposed, the motion passes. I will move ought to pass on House Bill 610 with Amendment 2025-3076H.
I'll
Is there a
second.
Representative Grote has seconded the motion. I believe since it was a replace all, we've discussed the meat of this, so I don't think I need to speak further to it. Representative Grote? Okay. Thank you. And then with that, if the clerk is ready, please call the roll, and I will be right back to my seat. I'm not leaving the room.
ought to pass with amendment. Representative Slotchie.
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Representative Pearson.
Yes.
Representative Bailey.
Aye.
Representative Sellers.
Yes.
Representative Tebow.
Yes.
Representative DeRoy.
Yes.
Representative Kelly.
Yes.
Representative Grote.
Yes.
Representative Schmidt.
Yes.
Representative Davis.
Yes.
Representative Dargy.
Yes.
Representative Lane.
Yes. Yes.
Representative Reese.
Yes.
Representative Long.
Yes.
And the chair.
Yes.
16-0 ought to pass with amendment.
With a vote of 16 in favor and 0 opposed, the motion passes. Are there any objections to putting this bill on the consent calendar? Seeing none, this will go on consent. And I'll write the committee report unless anybody else would like to. If so, volunteer. And with that, the executive session on House Bill 610 is hereby closed. And I hereby open the executive session on House Bill 727 relative to the New Hampshire retirement system. And I recognize Representative Grote for a motion.
Thank you, Chair. I move House Bill ITL on House Bill 727.
Is there a second? Seconded by Representative Schmidt. Representative Grote, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you. So at the beginning of this year, this committee received several bills pertaining to the New Hampshire retirement system, and we retained House Bill 727 as the budgeting process was going through its development. And now that House Bill 727 was in House Bill 2 and was effectively signed by the governor, we no longer need this bill.
Thank you. Would you like to speak to your second, Representative Schmidt?
No, it's been made clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll on inexpedient to legislate on House Bill 727.
Representative Slotchie.
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Representative Pearson.
I am recused from this bill.
Okay. Representative Bailey.
Aye.
Representative Sellers.
Yes.
Representative Tebow.
Yes.
Representative DeRoy.
Yes.
Representative Kelly. Representative Grote.
Yes.
Representative Schmidt.
Yes.
Representative Davis.
Yes.
Representative Dargy.
Yes.
Representative Lane.
Yes.
Representative Reese.
Yes.
Representative Long.
Yes.
And the chair.
Yes.
15-0 on ITL.
The motion has passed 15-0. And is there any objection to putting this on the consent calendar? Seeing none, this will go on consent. Representative Grote, if I can get your report today, that would be wonderful. And with that, I close the executive session on House Bill 727. Now it's time to move to the Senate bills. With that, I will hereby open the executive session on Senate Bill 94, prohibiting municipal amendments to the State Building Code. I recognize Representative Grote for a motion.
Yes, thank you. I would like to move auto pass on amendment 2025-2972H
I'll
for
second.
Senate Bill 94.
And I'll second. Oh, sorry. Did you want a second, Representative Schmidt?
No, I want to request a copy of the amendment.
Okay. This is the one that we discussed last time we met. I can see if we have any copies for that. We'll get that in a moment for you.
May I mover and seconder, please?
Yes.
Mover and seconder.
Oh, sorry. Moved by Representative Grote and seconded by myself.
Okay, good. That's what I thought.
Oh, and Representative Lane, raising her hand.
That's my comment.
Oh, you're okay. I'm good on the topic.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Representative Grote, would you like to speak to your motion?
I would like to ask if it's possible, Mr. Sherman, to come and explain this to the committee because it's a little bit weedier than I think I can fairly represent it.
Yes, please. If Mr. Sherman would like to speak, that would be greatly appreciated.
And I think for the record, it's very beneficial to have Mr. Sherman have an opportunity to speak, even if he's spoken before. It's time at this point to have him heard again. Thank you.
Yes, executive sessions aren't hearings, but it is good to talk to those who are closely involved, especially when there's a significant amendment. So, Mr. Sherman, sorry, Representative Groda.
I do want to make a point, though, that this amendment, if I'm not mistaken, replaces the bill in its entirety. So that's why I think it's important to review it. Thank you, Mr. Sherman.
Correct, yes.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. First of all, this is not my bill. It's not the BCRB's bill. I'm sort of paralleling along, keeping an eye on things, but I'll try and explain it as best I can. SB 94 originally was a parallel bill to last year's HB 428, which is baked and in the oven and will go into effect next July. So that's why the full repeal. Don't pass it the way it was, whatever you do. That shell then was picked up by others to basically amend one line in HB 428. And what that line would have provided, or what it provides for, unless it's changed, is that if the state process lags more than 2 editions behind on the model codes, they would then reactivate the ability for municipalities to do technical amendments. And you'll recall that one of the main provisions of HB 428 was to limit municipal amendments to administrative matters, not technical matters. So this would open basically back to where we are today, where municipalities could amend technical issues as long as they're not less stringent than the state code. 2 things come out of that. A close reading of this would say that some might interpret it to say that if one code lags behind, technical amendments are then permitted for any code. Well, there are 8 model codes within the state building code. The other thing is that because of the way the energy code has played out the last 2 sessions, we're already 2 editions behind. And the BCRB is proposing that we remain where we are with a few more amendments in this coming update cycle, which would, presumably go into effect next July. So the way HB 428 is triggered today, as soon as it goes into effect, the energy code would trigger this provision and then reactivate technical amendments. So the writers of this, and I think this came up last year, but they were told to kind of wait so we didn't keep fiddling with things, proposed to delete that one provision, which would basically maintain the prohibition on technical amendments to the state code.
Thank you.
I
That is
get
an
close?
incredibly helpful background. And this is one of those things that arises when we say, well, we see a problem and we'll deal with it in the future. I'm of the mindset, if we can, let's deal with it right away. But if not, let's use this retained bill in order to fix this oversight. So that language actually was not in the original bill as introduced. It came through part of the committee work in the subcommittee work sessions. I'm not sure how it ended up in there. I know a lot of times things show up. And thank you, Mr. Sherman, for providing that insight for us. So is there further discussion on this amendment? Representative Sellers?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just had a question as far as, so this would automatically kick in that municipalities could now make amendments after 4 years of not doing anything?
No. If we don't pass this, some municipalities may take the position that because one code is more than 2 cycles behind, this opens the door for all codes.
Okay, thank you.
And that was not intended by the original legislation, and it would create a process. I believe it would create a process far more chaotic
Right, thank you.
than what we.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll on amendment 2025-2972H.
Representative Slotchuk.
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Representative Pearson.
Yes.
Representative Bailey.
Aye.
Representative Sellers.
Yes.
Representative Tebow.
Yes.
Representative DeRoy.
Yes.
Representative Kelly. Representative Groden.
Yes.
Representative Schmidt.
Yes.
Representative Davis,
Yes.
Representative Dargy,
Yes.
Representative Lane,
Yes.
Representative DeVries,
No.
Representative Long,
Yes.
and the chair,
Yes.
15-1 on adoption of the amendment.
Thank you. Representative Grota, would you like to make another motion?
Yes, I'll move auto pass as amended on Senate Bill 194 with amendment 2972H.
That's Senate Bill 94. correct?
So sorry. Yes, Senate Bill 94. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I will second that. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes. This may not reflect my personal views, but I support the House position. And since the House supported House Bill 428, I think that it's important to maintain the intent of the legislature when you're passing legislation within the same year. And having been on this committee for 4 terms now, I understand the importance of the state building codes and keeping them updated and making sure that we have at least a minimum bar throughout the state for building codes. So therefore, I encourage the committee to support the OTPA motion.
Thank you. I don't need to speak to my second. Would anybody else like to discuss the bill? Seeing none, if the clerk can call the roll on ought to pass on Senate Bill 94 with Amendment 2025-2970H.
I can't improve on that. Representative Slotchie,
Yes.
clerk votes yes. Representative Pearson,
Yes.
Representative Bailey,
Aye.
Representative Sellers,
Yes.
Representative Tebow,
Yes.
Representative DeRoy,
Yes.
Representative Kelly,
Yes.
Representative Grota,
Yes.
Representative Schmidt,
Yes.
Representative Davis,
Yes.
Representative Dargy,
Yes.
Representative Lane,
Yes.
Representative DeVries,
No.
Representative Long,
Yes.
and the chair,
Yes.
15-0 on adopting ought to pass with amendment.
15-1.
15-1, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
And
Reading.
Representative DeVries, do you object to putting this on the consent calendar?
I do not.
Thank you. So this will go on the consent calendar. The executive session on Senate Bill 94 is hereby closed, and I hereby open the executive session on Senate Bill 193, requiring the head of each state agency to submit a strategic plan for program activities. And I would like to move to refer Senate Bill 193 for interim study. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. So the motion is refer for interim study by myself, seconded by Representative Schmidt. The reason why I think this is important to refer for an interim study is that we should always be looking at making sure that government is doing what we as legislators have charged them to do at the most cost-effective way possible. We know how difficult it is to spread the resources we have to those who need them most, and efficiency in government is something that we all should be interested in. The legislation that was presented to us is one that mirrors efforts in some other areas. It is something that many departments are already working to do, but not all are. And I believe this is something that we could do a good job looking to in the interim study period, because while next fall, a lot of us will be acting as Democrats and Republicans, I think that good governance is a bipartisan goal, and I believe we can do good work even throughout the election period to make sure that we are working together in order to make sure that Granite Staters get the best government they can. Representative Schmidt, would you like to speak to your second?
Said it all, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing, what's that?
There's an election coming?
That's what I've heard. Yes, there's always an election on the horizon, but it's a full year out for the general. So with that, when the clerk is ready, please call the roll to refer Senate Bill 193 for interim study.
Representative Slotchie,
Yes.
clerk votes yes. Representative Pearson,
Yes.
Representative Bailey,
Aye.
Representative Sellers,
Yes.
Representative Tebow,
Yes.
Representative DeRoy,
Yes.
Representative Kelly, Representative Grota,
Yes.
Representative Schmidt,
Yes.
Representative Davis,
Yes.
Representative Dargy,
Yes.
Representative Lane,
Yes.
Representative DeVries,
Yes.
Representative Long,
Yes.
and the chair.
Yes.
16-0 on referred to interim study.
With a vote of 16-0, the motion passes. Is there any objection to putting this bill on consent? Seeing none, this will go on the consent calendar, and the executive session on Senate Bill 193 is hereby closed. With that, all of the bills retained by this committee will be headed to the House floor in January. Out of 9 retained bills, only 1 will be on the regular calendar. I thank you all for your hard work. As has been customary practice, if you wrote the committee report, please be prepared to speak in support of that report on the floor and reach out to me if you have any concerns. I expect that the writer of the minority report on 349 will be speaking to that on the floor. If there's a change, just please let me know. The full House will meet on December 17th at 10 a.m. in Representatives Hall for Veto Day. All votes to override a veto will be roll call votes and will require a 2/3 of those in attendance to pass. If it fails, the veto is sustained. All of the vetoed bills continue to be printed in the House calendar each week, and the Senate sustained the veto on Senate Bill 213, so it died in that chamber. The expected opening date for the parking garage is March 17th, and the Speaker's office is working on parking for veto day and for the House sessions prior to the new garage opening. Please be patient with them. That's a big job. We begin our 2026 session with the constitutionally set date of Wednesday, January 7th. Please hold January 8th open until we see what the split for retained bills is between the consent and regular calendar. And please expect to meet both January 14th and 15th that following week for committee work. As we continue to move through the bill filing process, with a record number of LSRs filed, there, as of this morning, had 926 LSRs filed by House members. But I would like to say that is down 100 from what were initially filed. So we're making good progress. If you do find that anything that you filed is either redundant to another bill and you've spoken with that sponsor and you have a similar way to approach the similar problem, it's great to be able to join together and work together on a single bill instead of similar bills. And also, if you feel that yours is not necessary, you can withdraw it prior to introduction on January 7th. And even if it's been introduced and you change your mind, remember we now have changed in House rules that it could be withdrawn. I have not yet tried to guess where each bill to go, but I'm expecting we'll have a pretty high workload in this committee, which is why I want us to start right off the gate on that Wednesday, Thursday. If anybody's already committed themselves on January 15th, though, please let me know. If anyone has plans for school vacation weeks, please let me know so I can take that in account while trying to block out our schedule. Because historically, committees on track to do their work have been able to take that week off. So let's keep that goal in mind, even though we should have a lot ahead of us. Please read the House calendar when it comes out each week. Don't forget to sign in for your mileage. And you can only sign in here or at the State House, and we're not paid for going between the two. Are there any questions from the committee? Seeing none, I'll also say that there is now a vending machine up on the 4th floor for lunch, and they're working towards getting an operational cafeteria by the time we resume our normal processes here. And thank you very much for your time. I look forward to seeing you all on December 17th, and this meeting is adjourned.
You did all that without notes?
Oh, I had full notes. I had a
Oh,
script right here.
Boy, that was remarkable.
If you haven't already seen, you may be interested to know that the parking garage has been put together, and it was a not a stick construction as they call it. It's a ready-made, and it's there. It may not be ready to occupy yet, but I remember pulling up a couple of weeks ago and looking over there to see how it was coming, and there it was.
Quite impressive.
I thought all these bills, the retained bills, also come up on veto rule.
No, they come up in January. Veto day is only for vetoes, and we're not paid our mileage to come that day.
Oh, that's.
So it's one of those constitutional little twists.
Well, I'm going to have a GoFundMe
Yes.
for my mileage.
I haven't claimed mileage yet, and I don't intend to.
Okay.
It'll be another day at the
We can get some.
I
I know there are. member file drawers. I forget if it's this floor